Hi folks, with Tacitus today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this audio radio live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about the incessant, never-ending, perpetual race grifting, race hustling propaganda machine that is just in our faces 24/7. Now, it's a very unique propaganda machine because only white people can be racist. No one else can be. It's only those evil fucking fascist, fucking Nazi, fucking white people, the white supremacists, far right. Now, let's just have a look at some of the stories going around here. And what I want to illustrate here is how, well, firstly, it's exaggeration and off the planet exaggeration, pure invention, outright lies, but also taking a very small, irrelevant event and ginning it up into a racist narrative. Now this is, I noticed this on a fairly prominent business website where, according to them, racism in the workplace, again, only caused by white people, of course, is racism in the workplace is at crescendo, fever pitch, along with gender oppression, along with the wage gap, along with the far right, along with Nazis. This is all at some all-time high. But of course it's not. But to illustrate it is they have to engage in these inventions and fabrications and the outright lies. There's machinery in place where its sole purpose is to deliver the most outrageous lies to the populace, to convince us that something is happening when it's actually not happening. Now, when you think about that, this is approved by a government, it's funded by a government. These, a lot of tax exempt organisations are involved here. This is, we could call it collectively the deep state, if you like, but it is an incessant attack against white people. You are fucking racist, fucking Nazis, and just on it goes. So I just want to look at it doesn't take you long to work out that the story. Well, just reading the story, that it's nonsense. I've travelled the world, as I've mentioned a gazillion times. I've travelled the world on business a million times over, and I can assure you that white countries are the least racist out of all the countries in the world. The petty tribalism that goes on around the world, and so on, class, caste, the whole sort of thing is I don't know what you even call it, racism, but the racism, come bigotry, come what you want to call it, is much higher to the point where it's fever pitch in almost everywhere else in the world other than in white countries. Now, it's not that say class doesn't exist in white countries, but there is a belief that we're all citizens, as in homogenous citizens together. So that brings a form of collectivism that may not exist elsewhere in the world, or certainly not to the same extent. So what white countries, again, are the least bigoted. Now there is a difference when it comes to behaviour. If people behave differently, then that's another matter. But is it based purely on skin colour or race or something? Well, no. Now, the propaganda machine tries to gin up recent migrants coming, claiming they're the victims of the most foul, vicious, evil fucking racism, which proves that all white people are fucking Hitler. Do you need any more proof? Here it is. So now here's a story about supposedly an Asian lady who got a job mysteriously. That's not how did this third world Asian lady just walk into a quite a well-paid job and just walk straight into it? How is that possible? If she's a victim of racism, then surely there's no way she could have got a job. She gets a job downtown in the city in a pretty much mostly 90% white sort of employee company, and she gets gifted this job where there would have been tens of thousands of people better qualified. She barely speaks English, and yet still she so wow. That's surely that can't be racism. But the article doesn't address that. So they go off into little sort of splinter subset type issues. So now she's come from a third world country. They're a bit vague about how she got into Australia. Was it a refugee thing, or was it, a family reunion, like chain migration? Was it skilled migration? Skilled migration seems a bit unlikely, but anyway, regardless, she's in Australia. So she's got to Australia. So if Australia's a racist country, how come she managed to get in, A? And B, how come she managed to get a job, quite a plum job in the overall scheme of things, certainly for someone who can barely speak English and has got no first world qualifications. But she gets this job, which pays above the average wage, by the way. Now, for someone, again, with no qualifications or first world experience and can't speak English, that's a dream. That's a dream outcome. Every peasant everywhere in the world would dream of that outcome. So no signs of racism so far. But she decides that she's going to have her breakfast in the office when she arrives. Now, I don't know whether she arrives early and has breakfast or she arrives at 9 o'clock and think. But where she comes from, it's quite common to have breakfast at a certain time. And so she brings in cuisine that she eats in her home country, which is sort of a porridge with a savoury, rice type dish. And now I've come across this food, and it's got quite a pungent odour. You can't miss it from quite a distance away. It's different when everyone's eating that sort of stuff, but if you're the only one there, then now her decision to eat breakfast at a desk and with the national cuisine of the country she's come from, again with this dish that has an extremely pungent odour. But by the way, I've sat at restaurants and watched the locals eat this sort of food, and I'm used to it because I did all that travel. Have done so much traveling. But I remember going one time with colleagues from the office who had never been out of Australia before, never been to this place before, and we were outside of one of the downtown type hotels in a sort of outer suburban thing, and this food, and I remember my colleagues sort of staring, quite amazed. They'd never seen something like that before. So this woman decides to eat at her desk. Reading between the lines, I think she's arriving at 9 o'clock, for example, and then deciding she's going to have breakfast. So straight away, we've got some quite significant behavioural differences. What it seems is that her supervisor said, "Hey, you need to arrive ready to start work at 9 o'clock." Now, she comes from a country, again, that I visit where punctuality and these sorts of things are not well known and not practiced, or practiced in the breach only. So she's trying to say, well, look, it's racist to want me to come to work earlier, and it's racist. Yeah, you're only attacking me or complaining because I'm not eating Western food, and if you don't like me eating non-Western food, that makes you a racist. Now, here's someone who's really going down the path of the sharp end of activism. Anything at all is a microaggression. It's racism. It's fascism. It's this or that. So being asked to arrive ready for work on time, racist Nazi. People sort of say, well, yeah, do you need to eat food at your desk with that sort of, this is an open plan thing, at your desk with, this sort of odor? Do you mind? I mean, can you have your breakfast before you go? Racism. So these claims of racism, of course, are completely untrue. They're a reasonable request. I sometimes say I've been running late or whatever. In years gone by, I've got gone and say got a McDonald's breakfast or something like that, and gone straight, because the McDonald's around the corner from the office, and gone straight in the office. And I've had my boss, this is not recently, but many years ago, my boss giving me, "Oh, what are you doing, bringing your breakfast in?" Everyone can smell the egg and bacon burger, and so if ever I did that in the future, I'd eat it at McDonald's and come in and then beg forgiveness for being 5 minutes late. But anyway, this so it happened to me, like a white guy. I've had employees come in, people that report to me, or including, by the way, black North American black guys doing the same thing, arriving at 9:05 with their breakfast and so on. Now this woman's claiming racism. All this is not racism, and it's very disingenuous and extremely dishonest of the media. Now bear in mind this is a headline on a fucking business website, not just some story buried in the bowels, but a fucking headline. And it's also being picked up by the left-leaning media outlets who are putting on their websites as well. So this is all over the place. So if you're looking around, you'd say, wow, Australia must be a fucking racist place. Whoa, gee, this is a tough place to go to. When there's been no racism at all. And then it goes on. There's another one where the woman is a third world woman where she's 4'8" tall, what would that be in centimeters? Like 142 centimeters tall or something. So she complains that because white people are taller, that they are racist towards her. Not it's that she's 4'8" tall. It's not that. It's an act of racism against her because people in her country are much shorter, and therefore, if you point out, or even if she feels bad about it, it's okay. Well, so her conclusion is that Australia is this insanely racist country, and she's treated horribly every day, but she stoically puts up with it. And really, the workplace everyone has to change for one third world midget who doesn't know how to behave in a first world country. Everyone else has to change. She doesn't have to change. Everyone else has to change. But the people who really have to change is those fucking white Nazis. This, of course, is utter and total nonsense, and it's all part of the globalist propaganda machine to suppress and shame and guilt the white people. And just get them out the way. It's the old scam. You insert one trans person into the company and say the whole company has to change for the trans person. That's how it's a classic sort of Marxist type tactic as to how you destabilize an organization, a group of people, a country. So this is what's going on. But there was. If you look at and again, I had a little look around and found the details that someone comes from a third world country, can't speak English, has no qualifications. They give her a job. They even send her to college at their expense to get some diploma or something like that, which is affirmative action diploma. They give her every help, every assistance, every handout. They tolerate her late arrival. They tolerate, a vast array of things. She insists that she wants to be able to behave exactly as she did in the third world country she came from. And anyone that disagrees with that, or anyone that thinks that she should assimilate into Australian society, is a fucking damn Nazi. And on it goes. But this, I mentioned this story not because it's per se unique. But we see these stories endlessly. This type of the architecture, the propaganda delivery mechanism is everywhere. And this is yet one, but one example of it. But it's all over the place, and it's being delivered to us non-stop all over the wide Western world. 24/7. If you go onto the internet, Google or wherever, and look for racism in the workplace, I couldn't find a single case or instance where there was a white person being the victim of racism. The victims were always brown or black women, and the perpetrators, certainly what I saw, were all white men, some white women, but mainly white men. So it's only what some white people do. And I know for a fact that is simply not true. And I've been in a gazillion places where I've been the only white person in the room, or the hotel, or the hotel lobby, or the office, or the fucking restaurant, or something like that. Such that I've been an object of curiosity. kids or something, come up and look, and then they've never seen a white person before. So, I've been through all that. I never detected that as racism. But anything in any interaction of any sort now, there's a way you can turn it into, or gin it up as, or re-describe it as, or rehash it as an act of evil fucking white racism. And there is a class of people. They are many of them white, by the way. And they are assigned that this is their job, this is their employment, to just invent and fabricate cases of racism that never occurred and don't exist and never were. You've been Tacitus about your Pushback channel, and thank you for listening.